الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. To proceed. In this lesson, which will be quite brief inshallah ta'ala, we want to return back to what we started with initially, and that is this distinction between al-fi'lu, al-muta'addi wal-lazim. So we have spoken in great detail about al-fi'lu al-muta'addi, or the transitive verb, the verb that takes an object and the effect of the action falls upon an object, which is why it's called al-muta'addi. It's gone beyond the doer and it's affected an object. Now we need to return back and speak briefly regarding al-fi'lu al-lazim. Al-lazimu. Al-fi'lu al-lazimu. Right, so if therefore al-fi'lu al-muta'addi is one where the action goes beyond the doer and has an effect upon an object, al-lazim must mean what? That it doesn't go beyond, it doesn't affect an action. Rather, the meaning is complete and correct without taking or introducing an object. That's why it's called al-lazim, because al-lazim means adhering, restricting, and it's adhering or restricting itself to the doer. How do we demonstrate it? By saying, for example, marida al-waladu. Marida means he became sick. Hasana, that in of itself is a complete and correct sentence. Why? Because marida is a fi'lun, it means he became sick. Even if we didn't have al-waladu, the fa'ilun we would say is mustatirun taqdiruhu huwa. We would say that the doer is hidden, it's considered to be huwa, him. So therefore it would mean he became sick. We don't need an object. In this instance it doesn't take an object. It's complete in meaning by itself. If we introduce a fa'ilun, of course, al-waladu marida, then we are clarifying who it is who has become sick, and it is the boy is sick or has become sick. That's an example of al-fi'lu al-lazim. Now, what we need to understand is there are two types. Actually, there are more than two types, but to keep it simple, there are in essence two types of al-fi'lu al-lazim. There is al-fi'lu al-lazim, which doesn't take an object, a fi'lun that doesn't take an object absolutely in any condition or circumstance. So, for example, if we say tala, what does tala mean? Tala, it means he or it became elongated. So tala al-waqtu. Tala al-waqtu. Tala al-waqtu means he or it became elongated. Who or what is it? The fa'ilun is al-waqtu, the time. So if you're talking about how somebody was waiting for someone and that wait was a long time, you would say tala al-waqtu, that time became long or the wait was long. In this example, tala is a fi'lun that does not take a maf'ulun bihi in any situation or circumstance. Similarly, if we say, and there are a number of these, we're just going to mention a few. Hasuna. Hasuna. Hasuna means he or it became pleasant. So you could say Hasuna ad-darsu. The lesson became pleasant. درس حسن الدرس. The lesson became, or it was pleasant. Again, this does not take a مفعول به in any situation. Take another example. تمزك. تمزك. تمزق. تمزق means torn into pieces. What could be torn into pieces? المنديل, the tissue. المنديل. تمزق المنديل. The tissue was torn into pieces, and there are many others, but of course the number of af'alun that do take a maf'ulun bihi, those are al-muta'addi, are greater number, but nevertheless there are many examples that we could use to illustrate the principle of al-fi'lu al-lazim, the fi'lun that their effect or its effect does not go beyond the fa'ilun. So we mentioned therefore that there's two types. The first type that never takes an object. Then there is another type of al-fi'lu al-lazim that can take an object, but in order for it to take an object, it has to use an intermediary, and that intermediary will be, for example, a harfu jar, and we will already have seen examples of this. If you say, for example, ذهب الولد. ذهب الولد. ذهب is فعل ماض مبني على الفتح. That is what we call al-fi'lu al-lazim. If we say ذهب الولد, that sentence is fine, it's complete, it conveys a beneficial meaning. It means the boy went. However, if we say ذهب الولد إلى المسجد, what have we done? We've introduced a harfu jar, and the effect of dhahaba has now fallen upon al-masjidi by the intermediary of ila. That's what we mean by talking about the al-fi'lu lazim, which ordinarily does not take a direct object or an object. It may do in certain situations if you introduce a harfu jar in order for the effect of the fi'lun to fall upon the object. However, there is an important point to note. We know that this construct here, ila al-masjidi, that comprises of a harfu jarrin and an ismun, is called shibhul jumlati. Shibhul jumlati. It's, in English, we refer to it as a prepositional phrase. That's how we would refer to it. Shibhul jumlati. Now, there is a difference of opinion amongst the grammarians, or rather, we said that there's a difference of opinion between those who came before, the Salaf, and Al-Khalaf, those who have come afterwards, regarding how we define ilal masjidi with regards to this sentence. I have been using the term object to refer to al-masjid, but the majority opinion states no, you don't say that it is the object, and you simply say that ila and al-masjidi is muta'alliqani. So they say it is muta'alliqani بالفعل. فعلي متعلقان بالفعل. it's connected بالفعل to the fi'l, which is ذهب. It's connected to the fi'l. Some of the later grammarians, they have said that إلى المسجد is في محل نصب مفعول به. It's in the position of being منصوب, being the مفعول به. But it seems to be a minority opinion. The more correct opinion that we follow is that it is متعلقان بالفعل ذهب, which is he went. That's a point which specifically relates to how we identify or analyze إلى المسجد with regards to al-i'rab. If you don't necessarily understand that, then it's not particularly important. But the point to note is that in order for ذهب to affect al-masjid, it had to use an intermediary of إلى. Similarly, if we mention another example of a fi'lun which ordinarily is a lazim, we can say safara. Safara. Safara, what does that mean? It means he traveled. We can say safara al-musafiru. Musafiru. Safara al-musafiru. Al-musafiru means the traveler. Safara means he traveled. If we stop at this point, that is a complete and correct sentence, because safara doesn't require an object. It's a lazim. However, if we say, for example, safara al-musafiru ila, where can he travel? Britannia. Britannia. I think that's the correct spelling. Tanya. Hassan. Safara al-musafiru ila Britannia. Now, in order for Britannia to be affected by safara, we had to introduce ila and this harfu jar in order to connect Britannia back to safara. Again, in terms of the i'rab, the grammatical analysis, we would say متعلقان بالفعل. It is connected back to al-fi'l safara. He traveled. And the third example that we're going to mention, again, it's a very commonly used, is the verb marra or marartu. You say marartu bi Khalidin. Marartu bi Khalidin. I passed by Khalidin. How has Khalidin been affected by marartu, my passing? By means of bi, the harfu jar. So it conveys a meaning of by, passing by Khalidin, who is a person, it's a name. Khalidin therefore becomes majrurun. The indicator is tanweenu kasrin or al-kasratu al-dhahira. And we say it is muta'alliqani, the shibhul jumlati bi al-fi'li, the verb marra, in the third person. Therefore, in summary, al-fi'lu al-lazim, it doesn't take an object. There are two types. One that doesn't take an object absolutely in any situation, such as tala, wasiqa, hasuna, tamazzaka. Then we have a number of other af'alu al-lazimah that do take a object, but in order for them to take an object, they must be preceded, or the object must be preceded by a harfu jar. And even then, as we mentioned, the note, that we may describe it as an object, but in terms of Arabic grammar, we would not call it the مفعول به, nor would we say في محل نصب, rather we say متعلقان بالفعل. It is connected back to the fi'l that it is referring to. We shall conclude on that point. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.